Alright, today we are going to be doing homework number 4. Let me read it out for you. We're going to have two tanks in series which have cross-sectional area of 2 meters squared, and we're going to drain hose at the bottom, resulting in flow rates from each tank. The flow rate from each tank is going to be equal to alpha times 8 square root. Alpha is going to be equal to 2, and alpha is going to be a subset of constants that we're just going to call one variable today, which is equal to 2. And the first tank is going to have an inlet flow of U1 and U2, which flow rate is equal to 2 and 0.5 respectively, while the tank 2 has an additional flow rate coming in from the first tank and an inlet flow of U3. So I have an example of what that looks like right here. And what we're going to see is homework number 4, Brandon Eugene, welcome to the show. We have tank 1, tank 2, and it's flowing in tank 1 flowing in number 2. And then we're going to have different heights for that, and then we're going to have different flow rates. So understand that each flow rate is going to be associated with the height of the tank. And then we're going to have our flow rates going in, U1 and U2, and our flow rate coming in our tank number 2, U3. That alpha value that you see right here is going to be equal to 2, and that's going to be the cross-sectional area of the hole times the square root of 2g. And now we're going to set up our differential equation, which is going to be equal to the cross-sectional area times the height, which is our volume. And our volume is going to be being made up of the different flow rates going in. For tank 1, it's U1 and U2. And for tank 2, it's Q1 and U3, as you see. And then we're going to be subtracting what's coming out of our tanks, and that is going to be equal to minus Q3 minus Q2. No, Q3. See, I keep doing that. This is Q1. This should be Q1. U1 plus U2 minus Q1, and Q1 plus U3 minus Q2, and then this should be Q1. Alright, and you'll see here. And now we're going to go into Google Collaboratory to start coding, and we'll start by inputting our given values. So our initial flow rates in are going to be equal to 2, 0.5, 0.4, and we're going to be using a Jacobian method today, which is why we're using J and NumPy for jacks. And we're going to define our right hand side with our different variables, T, H, and U. And what we're going to be using for our H, we're going to have two different heights, H1 and H2. And we're going to be using 3 different flow rates, and that is going to be, oh my, why would you do it like that? U1, flow rate U2, and flow rate U3. And right now we're just defining our variables. And we also have our equation of alpha of our flow rate going out. So Q1 is equal to alpha times H1, which is rate respective tank, 0.5, and Q2 is equal to alpha times H2 times square root. And we're going to return a array because we're going to be using the Jacobian method, and we're going to be putting in our right hand side of the equation. So this is the left, this is the right, and that is going to be our flow rates going in, U1 plus U2 minus our flow rate going out, and then that is going to be divided by our cross-sectional area. And our second tank is going to be consistent upon U3 plus Q1 minus the flow rate going out, which is equal to Q2, and divided by each cross-sectional area. Always a critic. 2, looks like I forgot a comma. Alright, and now we're going to like to find our initial heights for both of our tanks, and that is going to be equal to, the way we're going to be doing that is going to be using a root solver within Python. And that's equal xi. For time, we're going to be entering 0. For h, that's what we're looking for. And for our initial height, we need our initial flow rates going in. And now we need a set of parameters, so initial guesses basically. And we specifically want the x value, and so our h underscore I. Our initial heights for each tank is equal to 1.5 and 2.1 for each one. And next for homework number 2, we're going to put each of our data sets into a Jack's linearized dynamical equation, which is why we're using JNumP instead of just regular NP. And to do that, we're going to use our JH. So we're going to do height first. And that is going to be equal to Jack's.Jacobian of our equation of the right-hand side. And our variable is number 1 analogically. So that's 0, 1, 2. And t is 0, h is 1, and u is 2. So for the right-hand side, I'm going to put 1. Then jh is going to be equal to, and our initial values are h. And ju. It's going to be the same thing using the Jacobian method so that we can put it into a matrices. And then we're going to actually combine the matrices to use for another function later. Sorry, I think I have ADHD when I start coding. So now that we have that going on, we're going to put this into a linear system, which is what it asks for. Use Jack's linearized dynamical equations in respect to the data output variables. From A2, use scipy.StateSpace to the linear time invariant. So I'm going to show you a linear time invariant system, LTI, yes, it's going to be equal to sig.StateSpace for JH, JU, and then we're going to put that into an array for 0, 1. Are we doing 0, 1? Because we're trying to isolate H2. That makes sense. Gotcha. And then comma, array 0, 0, 0. Alright, and now we're going to put that into a continuous state function. So how we're going to do that is we're going to do then is equal to state dot fs ti of ti s. So use scipy.signal.StateSpace to transform the state space model calculated in A3 into a transfer function between H2 and U3. So now I need to make that into a transfer function. So H2 underscore U3 is going to equal to sig dot transfer function of comma again. TH2. The differential of that transfer function is now going to be equal to a step function that we are going to call H2 U3TF dot STP. And now we're going to start graphing. Yay. So fig equals make underscore subplot, which is going to be equal to fig dot underscore scatter x equals t comma y equals h underscore t and then it's going to be fig dot update underscore layout width is going to equal to 600. Height is going to be equal to 600. And template is going to be equal to underscore dart. And now that we have that made, we're going to use a solver. So we're initial value problem solver. So solve underscore IVP lambda h comma t, so that we can solve for those variables. And we're going to use our initial value for u and the array that we made earlier. But we're using it for our step transfer function. So we're going to input 1 for u3. And we're going to need our time constraint, 0, 20. And our initial, h initial, perhaps you forgot a comma. Ha ha ha, you're so funny. Ha ha ha. Perhaps I forgot a comma. T-H lambda, or perhaps I can't spell correctly. Lambda. Shift enter. Alright. And probably still forgot a comma. Right hand side, T-H-U initial plus numpy array. Okay. Okay. And now to solve that IVP for the t-plot given, and now we're going to graph everything together. Alright, and there we have it. We have our linear guess, and then we have our linear graph, and then we have our graph with the step function. Thank you so much.